I know. It's weird, right? This isn't the Office Exchange podcast, normal setup. Well, it is. It will be. But I just wanted to inform everybody, let you all know that unfortunately some of the shots may be a little bit out of focus. And that's because when I set up the camera that's supposed to grasp every guest in the room, it unfortunately was out of focus. And I didn't double check, triple check. I didn't do what I had to do to make sure it was set up the way it was supposed to be set up. So I'm taking full responsibility. I apologize. And I hope everybody still enjoys the podcast. It was a great conversation. And let's get into it.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Office Exchange podcast. I have my good friend Marc here with me.
We in this,
boys.
What's
up, man? How are you?
And girls. Pretty good.
All right. So we've been sitting here talking for like a little bit, and I think we decided to like start on how nerdy we are.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of like where we want to start. So you shoot photography,
yes,
right?
Yes, I do.
And I do
a
lot
podcast,
of stuff.
videography.
Photography, video.
Yeah.
So how did you start? Like, where did that come from?
I'd say my junior year of high school, my brother upgraded his camera from a T3i Rebel to a Canon 70D, and he gave me his hand-me-down, and I kind of just took it from there. Like, he inspired me a lot because, like, he got into urbexing, urban exploring. For those of you who don't know, like climbing buildings, going to abandoned buildings, bridges, pretty much places where you shouldn't be but can be. And I kind of just followed suit and went where I wanted to go and went where my camera took me and kind of took it from there. Like, there are 3 buildings in Long Island City that have now been completed. While they were in the process of being constructed, I climbed them. And they range from 36 stories to I think like 65. So my legs were definitely feeling it on that ascent. And I really just like learned the settings from there. Yeah. After like a year of shooting on the T3i, I upgraded to the 80D, and I've been shooting on and off since.
80D.
Yeah.
That's a beast. A funny story about the 80D. If anybody who doesn't know, it's a very good video and camera. Like video and picture camera.
Yeah, so, it's a nice mix.
Yeah, it does both very well. It has like really good autofocus. Like it's very, very, very good for. Good is like the best word to use. Like, because it's not the best, but it's not the worst. So it's really good.
Yeah, it's a good middle ground starter for what you need in both.
Yeah. So like for example, vlogging. If you want to vlog like something that you're holding every single day or like all day like to your face, it will not lose focus on your face. Right. Nope. That's like the best part about it. The only issue with that is all right. So let me tell my story. A little bit. Yeah. So I got the 80D, right? I got the 80D, and then I got the what was it? I forgot what it was. 17 to like 35 millimeter 2.8. I think that's what it was. I don't know exactly. If you look it up, I'm sure you'll find it. It's a Canon lens, and this is a crazy mix. Because if you don't know, like a 2.8 is it'll have the depth of field when you record will be blurry behind you. So like when you watch a movie, right, and there's like a blur behind the person, that depends on the depth behind them, right? So the person and whatever is behind them, and like the lens they're using. So let's say, for example, like the wall behind me is not that far. I could touch it, right? But if I have a 2.8 on the lens, right?
It's gonna look all blurred out.
It'll be all blurred out, even though it's right behind me, right? Yeah. If I have a lens with like if you look it up, you'll see like a 3.5 to a 4.5. If it's at 4.5, will not be blurred.
Yeah, pretty much. Be the same. For those of you who are not aware of camera equipment, it's the lower the number, the more blurry the background can be, and the higher the number, the less blur. And it's all about like lighting and just the depth of field and the blur.
It's literally the best way to explain it. So when I got the 80D, I wanted to get a new camera because I started on the T3i, and then I went to the SL1. I used SL1 for like a year plus for photography and video.
SL1.
Yeah, this is this one right here. And then I decided to switch over to the 80D, right? I bought it, and I bought the 17 to 35 2.8, right? Because I wanted that like movie style vlog, like look, right? That shit was heavy, bro.
Yo, it really is.
That shit was heavy. So
it is heavy.
And it was expensive. So I was like, I spent a lot of money on this. It's really heavy. Great camera, really heavy. But
and then you realize, like, for this much money, I can get this one instead.
Exactly. And then another thing is, like, you know, mirrorless cameras were like on the rise.
Yeah.
Right. Like they were like kind of taking over the market. You know, they were like, there was a lot of ups about them, like a lot of positives about them. So I decided to kind of switch over and try and like learn it.
Yeah, I wish I made that switch early on.
Which is with the G85, Panasonic G85 right there. Anyway, that's like a side note, but yeah, that was like the 80. You said you use the 80D, right?
Yeah.
Do you like it? Like, how do you?
I mean, I love it. Like, I've been accustomed to it for 2 years now, and like I learned all the settings. Like, I can mess with everything without having to look at it, and I'm finally mastering the settings and like what I should be shooting at one time of the day and for what I'm trying to do. So like, I have nothing but good things to say about the camera. Like, I wish I made the switch that you did because my brother has a 70D, I have the 80D, so it's like somewhat similar, but mine is slightly better. But that slightly better could have been much better if I did mirrorless. But like, you live, you learn.
For the price that you could get, I mean, it also depends though, because there's like something about having a non-mirrorless camera, right? Like having the
SLR is nice.
Yeah, like having the not having to look through technology, right? Because when you're looking through it, you're looking through a mirror, right? So you can see what's in front of you. And then when you look through this, like shooting with this, bro, I don't even like photography. I don't even look through the viewfinder, but I look at the screen because the viewfinder is also a screen.
Yeah, it's an LED screen. Yeah, and like it's like it senses when your face is there, so like it turns off the other screen and it gets weird. Like the only thing that I like about that is that you can actually see the focus through the viewfinder.
Yeah,
whereas on the SLR, like with my 80D, you don't see that focus on the viewfinder, which is why I use the little window more than anything.
Right.
And like, I don't know if that camera has it. I know that some of the Sony mirrorless don't. Like the screen will flip out just slightly. Like on the 80D, it flips out completely, which I love.
This one does as well.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, like I know that on the full frame cameras that Canon has, like none of them flip out, which is like, why? Like it's so useful.
The one thing though that Canon, I know we're nerding out right now, but
that's all good.
The one thing that Canon waited so long to do, and like they kind of fell behind. I never understood why. There has to be a reason because they're masterminds, But they took so long for 4K.
Yeah.
Like every other, literally including Nikon, Sony, like Panasonic, every other camera company that you could think of went to 4K as soon as like they wanted to. Now I can understand like Canon waiting because they wanted to get it right. I guess because some 4K can be laggy or not look as precise, but you're like kind of falling behind. And that was another reason why I switched over because like this thing didn't shoot in 4K, but it shoots at 60 frames per second, and it was around this. Cheaper than an 80D, and an 80D and 70D are like the first Canon, non-mirrorless cameras that shoot in 60 frames per second. Because all the
everything else is 30.
Rebel series and T3i and whatnot, those are all 30 now
frames.
at the time. But now they're 6. I think the one of the T7i, I don't know. It's like some of them shoot 60 frames per second now, but when I bought it at the time, there wasn't.
Yeah.
So I was like.
I guess they knew their audience because like most people buy Canons to shoot photography with, where like the 80D was that mixture, like you said, like perfect for both worlds.
Yeah.
But like no one really buys a Canon for that 60 FPS at 4K. Granted, it didn't exist at that point.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess it didn't exist because they know their market audience. Like you're gonna get a Canon for that full frame 5D Mark III, so you can have crisp photos with a full frame sensor.
That 5D is a beast. Too expensive though.
Dude, yeah. And plus like. Half my lenses will work on it, the other half won't, and you got to make that reinvestment. It's like, that's why I just say it on the 80D, because like if I go to mirrorless, then all my lenses are useless for my brother. I go to full frame, and then half my lenses are useless, and I got to make the reinvestment. It's like,
that was my thing, right? Because I have a 55 to 250 millimeter for the Canon, can't work on mirrorless, and then I have a 10 to 18 for like wide shots and like
it's classic lens.
Yeah, exactly.
Great lens.
Which I can't use on my mirrorless.
Exactly.
I have the Pancake 50 millimeter 1.8. Exactly. So I'm like, that was my biggest thing. It's like I made the switch over. This is my mentality though, right? Okay, so I told you like the SL1 is decent for photography. It's not bad. I've gotten really good shots that I personally like. Everyone is different, so
everyone has their own eye.
Exactly. So I just like the way it shoots. I don't think it's bad at all. So my idea was I still want to use the camera, right? But mainly I got the G85 for video purposes, right? The 60 frames per second. The fact that it could record for an hour straight and no issues.
Yeah.
This one turns off in 30 minutes. Like things like that is the reason why you should make the purchase you make. I actually want to like take this conversation somewhere else, if you don't mind, right? How do you feel about people buying products just because they want to get something new, right? Because what I see a lot in the community is someone will buy a new camera, but just because they wanted it, not because they need it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I bought the G85 because I needed a camera to shoot an hour straight for podcasting.
Yeah, like you had the use for it and you had
exactly
like, the need.
And then, but I see a lot of people, they'll switch from like a 70D to an 80D just because. Like, how do you feel about like that in the community? Because that happens all the time. And I kind of look at it like why, right? And I know I have like different perspectives because I talked about this before, but like my views on like capitalism and stuff is kind of just. Like,
I was gonna say I think it's a threefold thing.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. Go ahead.
It's like you get bored with what you have. There's that because of the capitalist society we live in. Like there's that constant need for the next best thing. Like people upgrade their phones every year for no reason, just because like that's just something that we do now. And then I also think like people have the mentality if they get that new product, then they're going to use that product and that'll inspire them and get them out the house. Like, oh, I just dropped $1,500 on an 80D, making my 70D useless. I got to use the 80D now that I spent that money on it. Where since they had the 70D for a year or two, and it's been collecting dust, like it doesn't appeal to them as much.
Yeah.
Like even like when I buy a new lens, like I don't have a new reason to buy a new camera, which is why I'm not going to. But a new lens will help me just because like. It's a literal new perspective, and that'll get me out the house a lot. Because, I just dropped money on this. I want to use it. I want to spend time with it and get my investment out of it. So, like, I kind of see it a little. Like, it'll give them that push because, like, you put that monetary investment. But that monetary investment wasn't needed because, like, you had what you already needed.
Okay. So, I see what you're saying. So, I want to, like, kind of build on it maybe a little bit. When I, in the community that we're in, photography and video and stuff, I see a lot of people wanting to get the newest body, right?
Yeah.
When I don't really, personally, I don't subscribe to getting a new body.
No, a new lens will be much better than a new body.
I think having a lens can add a lot of variety to your shots and what you can do with them.
Yep.
Rather than a body can kind of give you that upper hand when it comes to, like, maybe, just like,
poorer lighting, like you'll get a better night shot, but that's it.
Yeah. Or like the functions of like 60 from 30 to 60 or from 60 to 120 when it comes to video and stuff. But I really like suggest people like investing in lenses over bodies.
I agree 100%. Like I think on my T3i I bought a Sigma 18x35, which is a little over 600, and the T3i is maybe 300. So I bought a lens twice the amount of the body, and just the quality of the pictures increased immensely. Like although the T3i it's like an entry level, mid-tier / low tier ish camera, like it's a great camera, but compared to an 80D or the Panasonic, like it's old. But like the lens elevates it. It gives me a new eye. It gives me a new perspective. It allows me to take shots that I haven't been able to take before. Like people probably feel that, oh, I'll get a new body, my shots will come out better. Like I'll be a better photographer. Oh, I see X, Y, and Z Instagrammer using this. Oh, I should use it. It's like, no, bro, that's not gonna help you. You have to grind through the hobby, grind through the passion. Like learn the settings, learn what works for you, learn what you want to shoot, not do what other people.
Just because something works for somebody else doesn't mean it works for you.
Exactly.
Like
everyone's different.
Like give me a break, dude. Like I understand, you see someone using it, like, wow.
You're inspired and whatnot.
But like, you got to learn
carve out your own path.
Yeah, you are your own photographer, so you have your own ways. Like, of course you're going to compare yourself to your favorite photographer, videographer. Like, that's completely understandable. But you are yourself, and you find your own ways of doing things. So, like, use your products, your
equipment and gear.
Use it to the point
where as you can, like the best potential that is there.
100%.
Like I think I waited like a year and a half to upgrade my T3i. Like once I realized like just the settings and like it's just dated compared to my brother's camera. Like I've elevated myself. Like I've mastered this camera essentially. Where like I need that next bump up. Like because on the T3i like you can only do X amount of ISO settings or like X amount of this. Compared to on the 80D where you have just a little more settings. So, like, as you need those settings, as you actually know what those settings mean and know what is required for what type of shot, that's when you need that upgrade. When you finally master what you have already, and you continue to shoot and you have that passion and the use for it, then by all means make the upgrade, make that purchase, and make yourself happy. But
So how do you feel about because the way I look at it is, I'm not selling any of my cameras because I just want that in the future, you know, because I plan on doing. This is my hobby. This is what I do, you know, for fun. So I plan on doing this for the fucking rest of my life. You know what I mean? And we'll see where it takes me. But I want to be able in the future, like in my future house or wherever, to like kind of just line up my cameras just to see the progress. You know, show like the not the struggles, but the you know what
where
I
you
went
started
to get,
and where you are now.
Where I am. So like, how do you feel about people? Because a lot of people and it's clearly understandable to each their own, you know. But some people they'll sell the products to get another one, or they'll trade one in and to help pay for like a new one. Like, what are you gonna do with it?
I'm in a similar boat. Like, I would want to keep all my things. I'll contradict myself though right now and say that I do want to sell my brother's 70D, only because the 70D and the 80D are essentially the same camera, just the 80D is slightly better, a little more settings, a little more updated. Yeah. So since they're the same thing, like, might as well drop the 70D since he doesn't use it that much, and then use that to invest into like a Panasonic or something, and then make that expensive switch. But no, I agree completely. Like, keep all your things. Keep all your lenses, all your bodies. Like, I even keep all my SD cards. Like, I buy a new SD card every time I fill one up. Like, sure, I'm kind of wasting $30 or whatever, however much, but it's like a digital catalog essentially. Like, since it is all digital, it's not film. You don't have that physical thing to hold. But since I just keep the SD card, like, I can plug it in all my cameras and like. This is 2015, 16, 16. Really? I have an SD card for like every year, essentially.
That's crazy. You know what I'll do? I have a portable hard drive.
Portable hard drive.
Yeah, and I'll download them all onto my computer.
Yeah, like I do that as well, but like I like that physical thing as well. Because like there's no film, there's nothing else. And like worst case scenario, if everything on my computer just fries, like I still have everything there. Right. And plus like it's that physical thing. Like this was my year in 2014, 15, 16, etc. But definitely keep all your things. Like I even have the same mentality on my Instagram. Like every now and then I'm like, oh, should I delete my old pictures? Like should I restructure? Like should I delete that 3, post it with others? It's like, no, like this is what I was doing in this point in time. This is the type of photography that I was shooting. This is the type of editing that I was trying to do. And then like you can really see on my page just where I started, what I was doing, and when I actually learned how to edit, when I learned how to do proper framing, when I figured out like, oh, I want to do 3 shots at a time, like have that same subject, and like you get to see your evolution of photography. Like you can guarantee like you have the kit lens there, you have the 18 or the 10 by 18. The
kit lens is on here, but Then
I have the 50, and then that's the 75 by 200.
Yeah.
So like you definitely got the kit lens at first, then you probably got the 18, then you realize, oh, I need that 50 flat
for the portraits and stuff.
Yeah, so like as you need something, as you realize, oh, I'm elevating myself to this type of photography. I want to try to do these type of shots. Like, you see your progression. So, like, definitely keep all your equipment. Like, if you need that dollar, by all means, like, sell it. Like, everyone goes through their own personal struggles.
Of course. You know, everybody's to each their own.
Like, if you can keep your equipment and everything, like, keep it. Like, I might collect dust because, like,
you might
guarantee you're using the Panasonic over the SL1, but that's just the reality of it. But that dust is there because, like, it's a memory now.
Yeah.
Like, you have memories shooting either photos, videos, going upstate, going to the beach, vlogging here, vlogging there, droning here, droning there. Like, everything is there, and, like, it's there because of those lenses. Like, you have those memories, you made those trips. You wanted to pull the trigger on the shot because, like, you have all the equipment here. Right. And worst case scenario, like, you go out shooting with the Panasonic, you can give your SL1 to your friend, and you're both shooting.
What? So, what do you... All right, so photography for you is like a hobby?
Yeah, like, the way that I look at photography, it's a hobby that I can potentially turn into a profession, but, like, that's not the grind I'm on right now, and plus, like, if you turn your hobby into a profession, then, like, you lose that passion. It becomes, like, you do it for the dollar rather than for, like, you. So it's, like, I'm going to just do me. If I can get a job here and there, like, I will. Like, if my brother goes to a gaming event, or if I go to a gaming event, like, I'll either take pictures for his team. I'll find a way to take pictures for another team and just, like, use my camera. But other than that, like, I'm not going to seek out a job. I'm not going to make that my grind.
So how... I'm going to ask you because I think and I'll say my part, but how important do you think hobbies are for people?
Very, 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 very important. Like, just the way that I look at it, that you need a hobby that helps you work out, like gets you physically fit, gets you out the house, and then makes you money. Like, I forget there's like a phrasing, like a hobby that you make your profession, a hobby that you do for pleasure, and then a hobby that you do for exercise. Like, I've kind of
you do that
hit all three, like my biking, my photography, and just computers. So like, I have them all segregated. This I do for fun, this I do just to get out the house, and this I do just for the potential future money. So like, you definitely need a hobby just for something that you can do either yourself and like individually with photography, or you can do with others. Same thing with photography, or in my case, biking. And just like, a hobby isn't necessary because like, one, it gives you an identity in life, it gives you an outlet in life, and it just gives you something to do with your hands, really. Like,
I think hobbies are extremely important because it'll take you away from this, not the struggles. But
I was going to say the struggles.
Of, like, reality. Exactly. Because there's a lot of things that we go through every day that we have to do, and we have to take care of our family, or we have to, go to school, we have to go to work. And a hobby kind of gives you that freedom.
It lets you do what you want to do, when you want to do it, where you want to do it, when you can.
And it's your choice.
Exactly.
It's not anybody else making that decision for you, which is the beauty behind it. So I'm like very big on hobbies and like doing the things that you want to do. So that's why I was just curious on like how you felt about it, because I wanted to know if like photography was a hobby for you, or like what you thought about in the future. And I kind of am on the same boat with you. It's like I would like to make some money for it, but then I feel like it takes away the freedom, right? Because once money is involved, it becomes like a job. In a sense.
It's a quid pro quo. It's a transaction.
Yeah, so it's like it's different, and I do it for me. Everybody knows that like I do these podcasts for me. I do my vlogs for me. It's
for fun. Yeah, it's all for the practice, all the editing, just like
exactly
what it potentially can turn into if you want to take that next step.
Yeah, and it's also like a learning experience too.
Yeah,
like going through these things, doing these things that you don't really have to do teaches you a lot. It teaches you what you can do that you never thought you could do, which is like, editing a video. I never thought I could edit a video until I started. I never knew I could shoot like I do now until I started. So it's like just that learning experience.
Like it just. Again, like back to the settings, like even just learning how to do the settings and finally mastering it and figuring out what settings you should use for what time of day, what lighting and everything. Like 3 years later, I'm finally at that point. Like I know what to do when, and like when I'm trying to go for this shot, like I got to do this. When I'm going for this shot, I'm doing that. Like I finally know now. So like I completely agree with that.
So let's get into something else, a different topic. That was really fun. That was a nice nerd session where
we can segue from the hobby thing to the mental health aspect.
Okay, we could
because
talk about
like you said, like everyone goes through their own grind, their own struggle, their own daily duties, and that hobby, like, it lets you detach. It lets you just do you, focus on you, and focus on your own well-being. Because, like, I know for me, sometimes like I'll just be in the house 2-3 days in a row, like even after this semester, like the whole 4 months of grinding, and like I stayed home for like 5 days, almost a week. It's like, it's nice to relax, but then it's like you kind of eat away at yourself. It's like, oh, I'm doing nothing, I just wasted 4 days. But it's like, no, you didn't waste 4 days. You just decompress and relax. And then like after doing that, like the hobby gets you at the house. Whether for me, biking to Cronin Dam on the Hudson the last Sunday of the year.
What in the world? Hold on. Not even that. What was the day? I don't know. I remember I mentioned it to you when we were at school one day.
That was a 75. But the Cronin Dam, that was 100.
What the fuck?
I didn't, or 99. I didn't do 100. I did 99.
Oh, you might as well fucking done 100. Like, this guy biked for 99 miles, bro. What in the world?
My legs just take me. Like, once I'm on the bike, it's just 1, 2, 1, 2.
What the fuck? I can't, bro. This is going to sound crazy. Sitting next to you, this is going to sound crazy. I used to bike. I was working at Five Guys. I used to bike. I used to work 5 days a week. So I used to bike to work and home 3 of those 5 days. And it ended up being like 15 miles a week. And I thought I was the shit for that. This guy's doing 99 in one day. I can't even imagine.
No, that was my 2018 goal, and I made that happen the last Sunday of the year.
What in the world?
I wanted to do that all year, and I did it. And I'm so happy about that.
All right, so we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But let's so just brief background. You know, Marc has been like telling me, I would like to come on the podcast, and I've been busy, but
we're all busy. Yeah. Semester life.
One thing that he did differently than a lot of people do is he kind of came to me with like an idea, right? He's like, hey, I want to come on the podcast to talk about this, and that's something that I can respect, right? A lot of people, they'll be like, I want to come on your podcast just because, I just want to be on it. Understandable. I get that.
Yeah.
Right? But I want people here who have something to talk about. That's one of my biggest things. Every episode, there's an objective behind it. There's something that we discuss. And what Marc did was he told me he wanted to talk about mental health, something that, I'm not going to speak on it for him, but he could speak on whatever he wants to speak about. And then also about, college and relationships and things like that. So when I heard him talk about that, I said, of course I want you on the podcast because I want to hear those stories. Now, scheduling is a different story. But the fact that I wanted you on it for those reasons and the fact that you came to me to do it for those reasons is respectable. So I'll let you, take it off, kind of go where you want with it when the mental health stuff.
Yeah, I'll start with the relationship since it was on the biking. I've been commuting the past 2.5, 3 years just to John Jay and back. So, I've been conditioning myself biking, and other than that, it was just transportation. So, I never really had that friend group for biking, and I never had that just outlet to do group rides with until just one day I randomly in Central Park was doing laps. I saw someone with a similar bike to me, and I stopped and said hi. It was just that simple. Yo, bro, like your bike.
Yeah.
We just started talking bike stuff, and then from there I did an Alley Cat race that Saturday, 4 days later. And for those of you who don't know, an Alley Cat race is pretty much point A to point B to point C to point D. You go to checkpoint, they mark that you were there, and then if you do all the checkpoints, you win. It's like a scavenger hunt on a bike, essentially.
Cool.
And then from that one, I did Tour de Bronx, 40 miles, and then from there I did my first ride over the GW Bridge to Nyack. Then I went almost to Bear Mountain. We didn't make it. We ran into some tire problems, and then from there, I've just done more group rides, and I developed a whole new friend group just from saying hi to someone randomly one day. That's a relationship that would have never been there if I didn't stop that 1 minute and say hi to that one person. And now I have a squad of 8 people who I can just go on a Sunday ride with, and that's something that would have never happened if I didn't make that first step. And that's something that I've kind of realized throughout this year. You make the most out of your life. Whatever you want, as hard as it may be, as long as you take that first step, it's possible. I wanted that friend group, that Sunday ride that I can just do miles with, and I didn't have that until I took that first step randomly, and that really helped a lot because back to the mental health thing and just everything about that, it gives me that outlet. That's my hobby, that gives me that physical exercise outlet, and I just get to do miles with people who have that common interest, that common hobby, that thing that brings us together. I'm from Long Island City. A couple of my friends are from deep in Brooklyn. Some of them are from deep in the Bronx, in the 180s, 200s. Friends in the Upper East Side and 112. We're all here, there, everywhere, different stories, different backgrounds, but we're all brought together for one common goal, and it just gives us something, an outlet to just enjoy ourselves for that 2, 3, 8-hour ride, and it lets you escape from life, escape from all the troubles, escape from all the hardships, escape from everything. Just same way with photography. It lets you get out the house, go to this location, and see this location from this perspective because you have this lens and you have this eye and this vision. And hobbies and just things like that, it allows you, like you said, to detach and just to kind of do you and just forget about everything else. But this year was hard for me just as an individual and as a family. My brother went through a rough patch earlier in the year in January or February for a couple of weeks, and fortunately, you were there for me, actually.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, we were just working out in the gym. Our schedules happened to match up.
Yep.
And you were my friend who helped me get through that moment of hardship for a bit. Like, that relationship that we developed just from kind of being forced together because we were in the Apple Corps program. For those of you who don't know, Anthony and I met each other through John Jay Apple Corps. Day one, just thrown into the thick of it. And it went from there. Like, the way that I look at relationships, or I look at it differently now because of my mom, actually. I forget when she said it, but there's a season, a reason, and a lifetime for everyone. So the reason at first was Apple Corps. And then we realized that we have a lot of nerdiness in common, and we're just good people in general with each other. So there was more than just the season, and there became a reason. And then potentially a lifetime, but we're still young, so. But
hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. But like I realized like you were more than just that reason, and like you were a genuine person who was looking out. So like I opened up a little, and fortunately you were there for me to open up, and
of course
it got me through the time because that relationship was there, and just it helped me. And like whenever like you feel alone, most people
close people off.
Yeah, like there was a patch in like late August, early September where it was just like no one likes me. Like you just eat at yourself. Like you feel like you. Like my friends were like in their own little closed bubble because like half of them moved in with each other. So like it's like they're hanging out without me. It's like no, they're just hanging out. Like they're just doing them. Like you can't let your. I know I'm jumping around here.
No, it's
like
fun.
With sometimes you just eat away at yourself. Like you feel like they're doing this. I should be doing that. It's like just go easy on yourself a little sometimes.
Don't overthink the situation.
As hard as life may be, like if you just take a step back and kind of analyze it critically, as hard as it may be sometimes, because emotions obviously get in the way.
Of course.
You can really see like the objectivity out of it. Like for example, like when you ran into my mom at the club the other day. Like my mom was out with her group of friends, and Anthony went out with, of all people, my ex, which no bad blood,
who is also my friend.
Yeah, like exactly. So it's like when I heard that, it's like, wait, they went out without me? It's like, no, they just went out. Like that was just them doing them. It's like, cool. Like you ran into my mom, like, and fortunately, like you're a genuine person, like wholeheartedly hello. So it's like,
of course.
That shows, like, at first it was like, I didn't get the invite, like, what are they doing without me? But it's like, don't think that way. Like, take a step back. It's like, no, they're just doing them. Like, they just, in the moment, they went out, and, like, they so happened to see my mom. It's like, cool. Like, then when you get that warm hello, and then, like, the next day you text me, it's like, the genuineness of the relationship shows, and, like, how good of a person you are, and et cetera, et cetera. So, like, what am I trying to make a grander point here of?
I think what you're trying to say is when things might be looking down, and
don't be afraid to say hi to someone.
And when things are looking down, don't make it harder on yourself. Yeah, right. Exactly. So when there's an issue going on at home, or when there's an issue going on in your life, don't look at it from a perspective. Or try not to. You can't tell anybody not to do anything because it's very hard. Everyone
goes through things their own way.
So try not to look at it in a way of like they don't want me. More or less in a way of like, maybe things are just happening without me just because that's how it's bound to happen.
No, right? that's really how it is sometimes. Like another example from me, but this is more on my part because I was in the rifle bubble for 2 years.
Yeah.
I shot Division III NCAA rifle at John Jay for my freshman and sophomore year, which took me University of Akron, Naval Academy, Coast Guard Academy, University of the Sciences in Philadelphia. So here, there, everywhere, like every Saturday, every Friday, I would be at a trip. And sometimes, like, you just feel left out a little. Because, like, I remember one day specifically, like, the whole squad went out bowling. It's like, shit, I'm on a rifle trip. Like, I would have been there if I weren't there. It's like, But it's like, that just happens. Like, that's just life. Like, I chose my path. You guys were able to come together and do something because you're on a different path. And, like, at first it's like, damn, like, I could have been there, but, like, I'm here doing me instead. So, like, as much as it may suck at first, if you take a step back, it's like, and look at it from an objective point of view, you get to see, like, they're not really excluding you. You're just doing you.
Something else,
and, like, you're on your own path, and, like, that's okay. Like,
that's an interesting way of looking at things, because even I or my friends from my neighborhood, you know, not really like John Jay people, but like even friends in my neighborhood, like sometimes they'll get frustrated when they're not invited to something, which is completely understandable. But one thing that we forget to do, I think, as people, is like kind of ask questions or talk about it, right? So we'll just assume, we'll just go to the point, like, oh, you hung out without me, so you're a dub. Or I don't fuck with you no more because the X, Y, and Z. Instead of being like, yo, so like, why didn't you invite me?
Yeah.
Or like, yo, what's going on? You know, instead of like just jumping to like a conclusion, kind of ask questions, get to the point, you know. And one thing that a lot I see many people do is they'll attack a situation very aggressively instead of going into it with like
an
a
open
calm
mind.
mindset.
Yeah, to like see both sides.
Yeah, so as soon as you're in the situation, it's already not gonna be bad,
but it's like,
but it's not starting off on the right
foot. Like you start off aggressively rather than like calmly, like you said.
So one question I have for you, because you know, one of the reasons why I do this podcast is because I want people to not feel alone, and I want people to, you know, feel like they have a community. That's why I try and have as many different people as possible on this platform. As someone who has a family member going through a mental health issue, what can somebody do to try and help that person from your perspective? Like, what can I do if my sister has a mental health issue?
Time and respect. Like, a lot of time and respect. Because, first of all, you don't know what they're going through. Like, what my brother went through, I would not want to go through, and I don't know how he's feeling about it in terms of, like, the moment of. He's definitely a lot better now. But, just give them time to go through what they're going through. Like, my brother had the rough patch for, like, 3 to 4 weeks, and, like, it was bad the first 2 weeks, and then, like, he was pretty much back to normal the last week. So it's, like, just let them go through their struggle, let them be there for them in any way, shape, or form you can, but don't force yourself to be there for them. Like, give them the space that they need. Because, like, I know that my brother needed a little space from me, and I gave him his space, and we eventually both came around, and our differences were solved for the most part. But try to empathize as much as you can, because, again, like, you really don't know what they're going through. You don't know why they got triggered by what, you know, why they said this, why they're feeling this. So, like, just try to put yourself in their footsteps, or in their shoes, and just let them take their footsteps as slow as they need to take them.
It's a very loaded question, so it's hard to answer. But I think one way of looking at it is like,
each scenario is different, so you always have to treat it a little different.
You hopefully know that person good enough, right? So you and your brother he had his issues, and whatever the situation was, you knew what to do because you knew your brother. Like, some people, for you, your brother might need a space. Some people, they may not need all of that space. Maybe there was too much space, so now they don't want space. They want you to be there for them. Like, everyone is different, so you know, like, you're going to know that person. Hopefully, you're going to know what to do with that person. Now, of course, like, off the bat, if you've never dealt with it before, you're not going to know what to do.
Yeah, like, I was caught off guard. But I knew, like, he just needed his space from me.
Yeah.
Everyone else was going to be able to be there for him.
Yeah.
Plus, like, since I was on the college grind, like, just my hours were a little different, and I had homework and shit, unfortunately, so I had that commitment outside. So, like, it kind of worked out where, like, I had that half reason to not be there, but also, like, by not being there, I mean not being there every day. Like, I saw my brother, obviously, but, like, not the same way my mom did.
Was it hard to deal with, though, from your perspective?
A little bit, because, like when some people go through mental health issues, it's kind of like alcohol a little, just a weird analogy. Like the truth comes out. Like there's no filter sometimes. Like the real views or the real thoughts or the real perspectives come out with no filter, and you really get to see like their true colors. Obviously, they don't act on their true colors every day, but something will slip out, and like something will be said that might have not wanted to be said, but because of what they're going through, it has been said. So like it will impact you, and like you just have to know that they might have meant it, but they didn't want to say it, or they didn't want to mean it. Like everyone has their thoughts, everyone has their opinions, but most people were taught when they were younger, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes words come out and like feelings get hurt. So just don't take everything too personally, because if someone's going through their struggle, like they're really going through their struggle.
And you might not know what they're
exactly.
going through. So it's like you can't really just say they're wrong or they're right, because you kind of have to hear it out.
Yeah, and then like just don't help as much as you can, but don't burn yourself out. Like put yourself first, but not to the point where you're neglecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you want to put them first, but you don't want to neglect yourself. Where I always use the analogy, whenever you fly or go on a plane to fly and the oxygen masks come out, they always say put yours on first before putting someone else's on, because if you put someone else's on first, you help that person, but then you suffocate. And you can't help yourself. So if you can't help yourself after the fact, then you can't continue to help the other person.
Correct.
So if you shoot yourself in the foot by healing them first, or bad analogy, but you get the point. Like
I know what you're saying.
If you focus on them and don't focus on yourself, then you're gonna have your own issues on your own hands, and you can't help solve their issues.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, like it's not a solution. It's not there's no solution. There's no way to solve it. You just get out of it. Like I was in a bad patch, like I said myself, was in August/September, where just like thoughts are getting at you, you're eating away at yourself. It's like there's no like switch to flip, there's no fingers to snap, there's no like insta fix. There is no solution. Just like you just slowly get out of it. Slowly your own head and your own mental health just recuperates. Like realistically, it's all just what's the word, a chemical imbalance in your head with just whatever it is, like melatonin, dopamine, and all that shit.
Okay, so with experiencing it from somebody else being close to you and like having your own issues, and I think we all have our own issues.
Yeah, no, everyone's human. Everyone has their own.
Do you suggest people seeking out help, like
take that first step,
of some sort, or
whether it's therapy, like in an institutionalized way, like seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist.
You know somebody who has seen?
Or I've seen a psychiatrist. I always confuse psychologist and psychiatrist, but I saw the one that doesn't prescribe. Or I think I saw a psychiatrist, and then I was gonna get a therapist, but I never took that next step because
So talk about that experience though. Did it help you or?
Oh no, it definitely did. Like it gets you to kind of like analyze yourself, and like at that point when I saw the psychiatrist or psychologist, whichever one, I kind of realized why I was acting certain ways, why I was thinking this, why I was treating people this way. So I kind of came around and like found the solution, even though there is no solution, or rather found the reasoning to why, and then that's why like I never took that second step for the therapist. But like definitely seek help if you have that outlet. Like I know at John Jay we have the women's center, then we have the health center. Both offer counseling services free to students. So like if your college campus has that, or if your work has that, or if you just have that person who you can talk to in life, talk to them. Like talking helps. First of all, you're not alone. Second of all, someone can just empathize and just help you just kind of absorb and just process everything. Like they'll see it from a different perspective, and they'll just be there for you when you need someone in that time. Like, you never want to go through something alone, even as alone as you might feel, as isolated as you might think you are. Like, someone is there, whether they're there for you, they're going through the same thing as you, or they're coming out of the same thing as you. Someone can be there for you as long as you take that first step and let them know that you need them to be there. Because, like you said, like, you never know what's going on in someone else's life until, like, they bring it up. And I actually learned that in high school through a retreat that my school made me go on called Montserrat. It was like a 2-day overnight thing, and on the second day, they had the faculty read out letters from our parents to us that we didn't know that they wrote to us. Kind of everyone's, like, not skeletons in the closet, but you started to realize, like, there's more to people's lives than what's going on the surface. Like, everyone might have a smile on their face every day, but beneath that smile, there are demons that they're battling. There's a financial struggle, an emotional struggle, a family struggle, something that's going on in someone's life that you just don't know about because they either don't say anything or that's just the fact of life. Like, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So, like, the point I'm trying to make, like, everyone's going through something, so you're never really alone, even though you might think you are. And
try and have those conversations. And like Marc said, seek help. There's nothing
wrong with it. Like, it's we're all human. The help is there for a reason. Like, I like to give my dad as an example, because I have a heart condition, long QT syndrome. It's an arrhythmia, essentially an abnormal heartbeat. And I'm on a beta blocker every day to normalize it, regulate it, and make sure I live. But, like...
Well, that seems kind of harsh.
A little bit. But essentially, like, I got it from my dad. We, through just genetic testing, like, we realized, like, my mom doesn't have it, therefore my dad. But my dad never took that first step to, like, get the help he needed from for his heart condition. Like, he was, like, a little bit in denial. Like, he didn't want to express, or he didn't want to face the truth, like, I need help, I need to, like, acknowledge this. So acknowledge it, like, no matter how hard it might be, no matter how shitty it might be, like, no matter how shitty you might feel, like, you'll feel a lot less shitty if you take that first step and talk to your friend, family, or someone who's being paid to listen. Even though they're being paid to listen, they're also being paid to tell you stuff and, like, help you analyze why you made this decision, why you did that, why you're feeling this way.
So if we'll kind of take a sidestep out of the mental health thing after this, but if there's somebody watching, listening, and they're going through something similar, whether if they might feel like they have some mental health issue themselves or they have somebody in the family going through it, what's one tip, just one thing, it might be a little question, but what's one thing that you would tell them right now to help them get through it?
For someone who's going through it?
Someone who's going through it, or somebody even has somebody who is going through it close to them.
Make your bed in the morning.
Okay.
Like, actually, like, make your bed in the morning, because, like, no matter how shitty you might feel, or no matter what you're feeling, like, coming home or starting your day with something as simple as making your bed, that's an accomplishment in itself. Like, it makes your room clean. You come home to a clean room. You come home to a nice environment.
Starting the day off on the right note.
Exactly. Like, I didn't make my bed at all last year. Like, at first it was just like, oh, I'm sleeping in it. I don't need to make it. But then, like, that willpower, that motivation to make it and to keep your room clean, like, wasn't there. So, like, if you can start your day off on a right foot, making your bed, making your room clean, and just going through the basics, you can continue on and slowly but surely try to change your mindset from that. Like, it's like that's the stepping stone, essentially, I feel, because if your environment is not bad but, like, messy or not what it should be, then you're not going to be where you should be. So, and then
that's dope.
Yeah, like, it's something simple, but it's something that will change the way that your day starts and the way that it ends when you come home.
So, thank you for that. I appreciate you opening up and expressing yourself. It'll help
I hope it helps someone.
It'll help
because
somebody.
like after realizing all this, it's like it helped me a lot. Like that's why I wanted to come on, because like you gotta just talk about these things because it's taboo in our society where mental health isn't acknowledged, especially with men, because like the whole toxic masculinity thing where we're taught to bottle up our emotions, be the beam in people's life to hold them up, and or the pillar rather.
Yeah, don't cry because then you'll be weak.
Yeah, it's like no, cry, let it out. Like it's therapeutic. Like it help you realize why you're crying, what's worth crying for, what triggers you emotionally, and like what you actually care about and what. Yeah, exactly.
So one thing that I respect about you is that you always express yourself in your own way, right? So, for example, the painting of the nails, right? Like a lot of people will look at you because you're a male and they'll be like, don't paint your nails. That's not right. That's not what a male should do, right? But then you're kind of just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I do what I want.
Pretty
so
much.
what is the message behind it?
I mean, at first, like, I did it. I remember, like, I showed up to your party with black and white, or black, red, and white, just because, like,
I told you it was dope.
Yeah, like, it matched the fit. Like, I had, like, black pants, red and white stripes, and, like, might as well add to it.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's just another fashion accessory for me, kind of, and another way to express myself, because, like, I start with earrings, then, like, rings, now nails, and, like, the rest of my piercings.
Yeah.
So it's just like another way to express myself, just to be different and just like to add to the fit.
Yeah.
And
it kind of shows. It also, without you knowing it or maybe not doing it on purpose, it shows people that they could do whatever they want to and still be who they are.
Exactly.
Regardless, like you could still do photography, you could still ride bikes, you could still go to school and be a part while being different than society's norms.
Yeah, like right? It's like twofold for me. Like I've been listening to a lot of Sum 41 lately. It's like you don't want to become another casualty of society, another victim of conformity. So like, because I'm studying computer science, so I always fear that like I'll be behind a desk 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Another casualty of society, conforming
to
everything. So like, I want to like not be different, but just be me. And I just so happen to be different.
Yeah,
so like, might as well embrace it. And like one of the things I realized, like, most people don't care about you. Like, not that sounds harsh, but that's reality. Like,
it's true.
This is my perspective out of my two eyes. Like, this is me. This is my life. I focus on me first. Everyone else is a second, a side note, realistically. That's just how it is in life. Like, there are 7 billion of us on this planet, 9 million of us in New York. I guarantee you the other 8 million or 8,999,000, etc., don't know that I exist nor care that I exist. So why am I going to care what they think when all that really matters is me? So if you can kind of have that mentality and realize in life that what you do doesn't really matter, and as long as what you do matters to you
and helps you,
then there it is.
It's not like some people might misconstrue what Marc is saying and like, don't care about the people around you. That's not necessarily what he's saying, right? But it's more or less care about yourself first before you help others.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. Now, I'm somebody who likes to help others before I care about myself, but everyone plays their own.
I love volunteering. I love helping people. Like, don't get me wrong, but what I'm trying to say is like, if you ever slip and fall going up the staircase coming off the subway, you're gonna think it sucks. You're gonna think people are laughing at you. You're gonna think you just embarrass yourself and like that's your day ruined. But like, no one's gonna remember that. Like, you're gonna cringe at it all day, but like, the 5 people who saw you fall, they thought about it for a second. They're like, oh shit, that person fell or that person slipped. And then they don't think about it at all for the rest of the day.
Yeah, everyone has their own goals and missions on this earth. And there are some people, that want to be here just to make other people's lives harder, unfortunately. Yeah. But those people do not determine your life.
Exactly.
Right? And
no one determines your worth. Only you do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I said earlier. Like, you make the most out of your life. And, like, that's why, like, I just choose to do whatever I want, kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
If I never said hi to that biker friend who I met and then branched off from there, like, I would have never made the most out of my biking. If I never decided to come onto this podcast, to be honest, like, I would have never made the most out of this friendship and been able to continue to develop it.
If we never folded knives and napkins.
Exactly.
Hold on. All right, so we're going to end it soon just because it's already almost an hour long. But I want to just talk about Mark and I's one summer that we spent. I still do community service. I'm sure Mark is still involved in the community in his own ways. But we did about 50 hours in Sunnyside Community Services, which is a elderly home. And one of our jobs was to fold knives and forks into a napkin and then put it in a box for like, hours.
Yeah, until the box was filled for lunch. Like,
but like,
it was so mind-numbing, but like it served the purpose.
Yeah, right. Like,
and we helped the people.
It's funny because it's funny to talk about because in reality, we think we did nothing. Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But when you see how it all, like,
every
runs,
day we fed, like, 120-something elderly individuals. That was their home for the day. Like, it was a senior center, so it's just, like, the day center. So they just went there to eat, socialize, dance, hang
it's
out.
not like an elderly home where they stay there.
No, like, they don't live there.
It's just an activity for them to go to and do. Like, because a lot of that community, like seniors in our community get overlooked.
Yeah,
right? And it's like they're old, so we just expect them to sit there all day.
They get neglected and
which
forgotten
is
about.
Not right because they're still human, or just because they're older and
we'll
they might
all be there eventually.
Yeah, and just because they have mobility issues, some of them more than others, doesn't mean that they're not worthy of doing things. You know, and these places like these senior centers, they give a place for them to go to. You know how like younger people, their place to go to is like a friend's house, or their place to go to is like a club of some sort. Older people,
they don't have that outlet.
They're not going to go to a club, because it's just not. They can do whatever they want, And there are places that play music for them, but like these senior centers, they have activity. Like literally, like performers would come and like sing, and they do like bingo, and they do like these things fun to like keep their day going and make their day go by faster. Especially if you're retired or like your family's already grown. There's not much you could do from there, and you want to also have a life as an elderly person. So if you do know somebody who is a senior and is older, look into maybe a senior center for them to go to and enjoy their day. Close at like 2, 3 o'clock, and they just get to enjoy the food and stuff. And look into it, because that's a community that's definitely overlooked. And hopefully we'll have Marc on in the future again, and we could kind of expand on that and make different points. But I want to thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. If you want to, anything else you want to get off your chest? Any last words?
My life's hard, but you can make it easy just by doing you. To be honest, like if there's anything that I want someone to take away from this, like just focus on yourself first, and then once you can help others, do that, and realize that most people don't notice you. Like you might think, oh, your hair's off, your fit's weird, or your outfit not fit, or like this thing that I said was weird, this thing that I did was weird. It's like most people didn't notice that. Most people aren't analyzing you the way you are, and they're on their own chapter in life. They're writing their own book while you're writing your own. Like you might cross paths, you might be a character in someone else's story, but you're your own story, and most people aren't reading your story but writing theirs. So just do you, try to be as happy as you can, and just live life for yourself, and then extend your life into other people's and make their life better in ways that you can without neglecting yourself first. Like, back to that whole analogy, just put your mask on first, then the person next to you, so that you can continue breathing.
And continue helping the other person. So
exactly.
I want to thank Marc for stopping by. Make sure you guys go to the website at jleonardo.com. You can watch all the podcasts from there, listen to all the podcasts from there, watch all the vlogs, the blog, photography, everything. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Marc, for stopping by. And that's it. Peace.
We had the same tripod. Do we? Yeah, that's a great tripod.